how's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite aviation channel, and today we are here with a new airport update for Chicago Rockford International Airport. This is the third time I'm doing a Rockford update on the channel, but it's been a good while since the last time I did one of these. I think the last Rockford update was back in the summer of 2022, so here we are well over a year later, and a fair bit has changed in Rockford. A couple of new services, of course, the brand new South Cargo ramp that you can see right here. And I actually did my internship, or a internship, at Rockford Airport this past summer, so I might mention a couple of things that I saw during my internship over the course of this video. So today's video, really excited for it. It's a much bigger setup than the last Rockford update that I did, so a little bit more stuff to look at this time. So I hope you enjoy. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's begin with a quick little setup tour. Of course, I didn't have space to build the entire Rockford Airport, so I kind of just put in the main parts of it. So I'll start off right here with the main passenger terminal with 4 gates, as usual. More this way would be the Emory Air FBO private jet ramp, just literally right off to the side here. There'd be a couple more hangars out this way, and then runway 119, which goes north to south. That's a little bit more this way. Moving over to this side, we have the international terminal it's basically just a shack here. The administration department where I did my internship, their offices are right here as well. It's kind of one big building, so my office was literally like right here. It was pretty cool. I didn't get to go inside the international terminal, unfortunately. It was pretty much locked the entire time because they don't have any international flights, any active, regular services passenger wise internationally using this terminal, so it wasn't really open for anybody to go in aside from the higher ups at the airport administration or the authorities. So I wasn't able to look inside, unfortunately, but hopefully someday I will. That's what that is. Moving this way is the UPS ramp. Of course, their ramp is way bigger than this. It's a lot more that way, a lot more stuff down that way, but didn't have space for it. So I kind of just have this here. And then there is a little bit more action that way. The actual building is further out that way. Again, space issues. And then more towards that side would be the Amazon Air, the Prime Air ATI. Their cargo area is all the way down at the end by the runway 7 threshold. So again, wish I could put that, but I didn't have space. And again, I don't even have any Amazon Prime Air aircraft to even put there. So it's kind of a win-win. And moving this way, this is where runway 725 would be. The longer of the 2 runways at Rockford, so that would be right here. Just imagine that there's a runway there. There is a new taxiway, I believe, they built from the runway up to the new South Cargo ramp. That's right around here, and I think one more this way. And then again, South Cargo right here, which isn't really, it's somewhat new. They finished it completely in, I think, 2022, so it's been around for a little over a year now. It's got, I believe, 5 parking, so like 1 here and then the 4 here. So this is mainly used by, as you can see, Atlas Air, Qatar Airways Cargo, Maersk Air Cargo, and National. Whenever they come in, they use this part as well. Also Magma, Air Atlanta Icelandic, they use this facility as well because they have their own offices right around here. So that's what the South Cargo ramp is. And then moving down this way, there would be the 2 big hangars for AAR, where United mainly does their maintenance and stuff for the 737 fleet. So that's what would be on that side. So yeah, that's the setup. Of course, much bigger than last time I did Rockford, because last year I should say, I only had this part. I didn't have space. Well, I didn't put the South Cargo area because I couldn't find any up-to-date imagery, satellite imagery to reference to make the South Cargo area. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying there. But I'm glad that finally Google Maps updated their satellite imagery so when you go to Google Maps and search in Rockford Airport, you can see the full South Cargo ramp is now, it's updated, the imagery is updated, so I was able to reference that for this. And I think the update's going to be a lot cooler than last year's, that's for sure. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. We'll start off with the passenger terminal. Alright, so we'll get started over here at gate number 4 with this Allegiant Airbus A320 making service out to Sarasota, Florida as flight 2976, and came in earlier from Sarasota as flight 2980. Rockford is actually one of Allegiant's best performing destinations. I've heard that Allegiant has consistently been achieving high load factors out of Rockford, so it's been a very, very successful airport or destination for them, which is really awesome to hear. And Sarasota itself, I think, is a more recent destination. I can't remember when they added Sarasota from Rockford, but they do serve quite a decent amount of places from Rockford. Speaking of new destinations, Allegiant is also adding Nashville, Tennessee. That's going to be their latest destination from Rockford, starting on May 16, 2024. So at the moment they serve Sarasota, we have St. Petersburg, Punta Gorda, Orlando, Sanford, Las Vegas, Phoenix Mesa, I should say, and then again Nashville starting in May 2024. So really good to see Allegiant continuing to grow in Rockford, and maybe you'll have some aircraft based in Rockford from Allegiant like they do down in Peoria. Only time will tell when that happens though. Alright, so here's a bit of an interesting scenario. Obviously United doesn't have regular passenger service into Rockford right now, but this is an actual scenario that unfolded about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So there was a United Express flight from O'Hare to Des Moines, Iowa, flight 5363, actually diverted to Rockford, I believe due to some mechanical issue with the aircraft. So when it landed, they brought the flight into gate number 2 here, as you can see. But they didn't attach the jet bridge to the aircraft, so passengers ended up deboarding via the built-in air stairs that the CRJs have. So they went into the terminal and they ended up dispatching an E-175 to come and take everybody onwards to Des Moines with the same flight number, obviously. So yeah, that's exactly what happened. I'll show you right about now the screenshot of the CRJ700 diverted into Rockford. 794 SK was the tail number, so they brought it up to gate 2, passengers got off into the terminal, and then a couple hours later they ferried this Embraer 175 in from O'Hare, and then that took the passengers onwards to Des Moines. Really unique scenario that was. The CRJ700 over here ended up spending the night in Rockford, then got ferried back to O'Hare the next day, and now it's doing flights as of right now in the West Coast, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I just wanted to replicate that scenario. I thought it would be really unique to showcase because it definitely does not happen very often in Rockford. Alright, so we are moving on to the UPS ramp here in Rockford, the UPS Rockford Air Hub. This is UPS's second biggest hub, I believe, only behind the Worldport down in Louisville, Kentucky. It's a pretty busy operation, not so much during the day. I think during the daytime at max you'll probably see like maybe 10 UPS flights in and out maximum, but nighttime, that's when obviously everything picks up. That's like 30 to 40 flights coming in and out of Rockford during the nighttime at certain days of the week. It's mostly during the weekdays. You don't really see a lot of UPS hub action during the weekends. It's mainly like Tuesday or like Monday or Tuesday through Thursday or so. That's when the hub is at its peak operation, especially during the nighttime hours. Late night as well, it's like 11 p.m. through like 4 a.m. So yeah, got a good amount of action here. Really fun thing I want to share. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, my office at the with the administration department was right around here. So whenever one of these like 767s would start up, you could literally hear it from my office. It was pretty cool. I would just be sitting at my desk and you would just hear the engines start up from like, it was cool. It was just, I can't even explain it. You could feel the vibration, you could hear the noise, and of course when all the planes would be taken off on the runway right here, you could hear it, and when they would land, you would feel the reverse thrust vibration. It was cool. It was pretty cool. So yeah, we'll start off right here though with this Airbus A300. This one came in from, I believe, what I have this coming, okay, flight 2951 in from Oakland, California, and is now getting serviced for its next flight out to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania as flight 2072. And I also wanted to briefly mention, you might have noticed that these aircraft are kind of parked at an angle, and that's actually how they do it, at least for the planes that park on this side closest to the wall. So they'll park them at an angle like this. The rest of the ramp, it kind of looks like this. They just park them straight up, like that in a line horizontally, but at least on this side, what I noticed is that they'll park them at angles like this. And another thing is that there is no pushback tugs. They don't really use pushback tugs at the UPS ramp. The way it works is that there's usually going to be like a marshaller standing right here, and then they'll just wave the plane, guide the aircraft out. So it'll pull forward and taxi straight out like this. As you can see there, it's pretty cool. But yeah, otherwise, from what I'm aware, they don't use pushback tugs all that often at least on the UPS ramp. And then the way the planes work is like when they taxi in, they come in literally just like this, and then they'll just like turn straight into the parking like that. And then on this side, same thing. They'll come in like this, turn in, or this way, turn in that way, and then when they depart, it's just they pull straight out like that. It's pretty unique. So I just wanted to make that really clear. It's kind of a unique thing they do at the UPS ramp in Rockford, so I thought it was definitely worth mentioning. Alright, and just pulling out of the gate here, we have UPS 2046 Heavy off to Philadelphia, 767-300ER, or 767-300 Freighter, I should say. This aircraft had come in from Portland earlier, Portland, Oregon, as flight 2375. And over here we have another UPS 767. This aircraft came in earlier from Ontario, California, as flight 2911, making service out to Portland as flight 2992. So UPS, they have these really cool cargo loaders that they use, those big ones like the forklifts, whatever they're called. I have no idea what the proper terminology is, but they have some sort of like net on them. I'm not too sure what it's for. It might be like a shade or something. I have no idea what that net is on them, but they're really cool. I'd never seen those things before. Before coming to Rockford, at least, I'd never seen those kind of cargo loaders. So UPS uses those at their Rockford operation. It was really cool to see. Next up here we have the UPS MD-11 Freighter. UPS doesn't normally fly the MD-11 to Rockford during the daytime, at least. It's very, very rare to see a UPS MD-11 in daylight in Rockford. Usually during the hub's peak operations during the weeknights, they'll fly like 1 or 2 MD-11s into Rockford during the nighttime operation. Usually they come from Dallas. I think it's 2 from Dallas or something like that. 1 comes from DFW, or 1 might come from like Newark or JFK, but usually they come during the nighttime. You'll never see an MD-11, almost never, in Rockford in the daytime. So we'll just say this aircraft is subbing in for a 767. Came in from DFW's flight 2759. Will soon make service out to Seattle Boeing Field as flight 2034. And just next to the MD-11, we have this UPS 767-300 without winglets. This aircraft came in from Phoenix as flight 2651 and is now getting serviced for its next departure out to Windsor Locks, Bradley, Hartford, Connecticut, whatever the airport's actual name is, as flight 2052. That's service out to BDL. Alright, next up here we have a UPS 757-200. This one's got the Rolls-Royce RB211 engines. This aircraft came in from Sacramento's other airport, Sacramento Mather, as flight 2959, and will soon be making service out to Ontario, California, as flight 2628. And then move over here to the other 757. This one's got the Pratt & Whitney engines. This aircraft came in from Boeing Payne Field, BFI, as flight 2991, and will be making service out to Dallas-Fort Worth in about an hour's time as flight 9708. That's a ferry flight. They do those pretty often out to DFW. So, and actually I saw one over the summer going out to Dallas, one of the 75s with RB211s. It was pretty cool to see because it rotated so early, so by the time it flew over my head, it was super high, because 757s, you know, they love to jump off the ground. They're absolutely overpowered airplanes, which is probably the coolest thing about them. But yeah, I saw one of those ferry flights going out to DFW over the summer. And another interesting thing that I wanted to point out about the Rockford Air Hub UPS operation is that I'm not too sure why this is, but they usually end up putting the 75s towards this side. You'll almost never see the 757s like back there or over here. They almost always put them more towards the western portion of the ramp. 757s and the A300s, usually that's how it goes. But most of the time, the 75s are out this way, and then it's like all 767s here, 767s there, and then the occasional A300 will probably sneak in like right over here or so. But usually the 757s and 300s are more on this side, which is something I didn't really notice prior to this summer, but you know, when you spend like pretty much every day at Rockford Airport, you tend to notice a couple of things. So that was just one of the things that I noticed about the UPS operation. Alright, so now we're going to start off with the South Cargo ramp at the Rockford Airport. Nowadays, this facility is only used by, of course, Atlas Air, Qatar Airways Cargo, Maersk Air Cargo, and Air Atlanta Icelandic or Magma, their 747s when they come in about once or twice a week. And then occasionally whenever National decides to pop in with their 747, I believe they'll also park here. During the pandemic, we used to get a lot of really, really cool cargo flights into Rockford, because Rockford is actually the 13th busiest cargo airport in either the nation or the world. I think it's the nation, the US. 13th biggest cargo airport in the US, which is pretty cool. At least during the pandemic, I believe Rockford was either 16th or 14th. So even though we are out of the pandemic and there are fewer cargo flights than during the pandemic, of course, Rockford still managed to rise up to number 13, which is pretty cool. But during the pandemic, we'd get a lot of really cool stuff. We get the Air X A340-300s. They do cargo flights from Asia via Anchorage. Of course, Wamos A330s, they do cargo flights as well from Asia. We'd get some random Maleth Aero A330s. They'd also come here from Asia. Korean Air Cargo, of course, they wouldn't actually fly their cargo 777s. They'd fly 777-300ERs that were temporarily converted to cargo use from passenger. Those are all gone now. The Korean Air doesn't fly to Rockford anymore because the 777-300ERs are fully back to passenger service. So Korean Air is no longer here, unfortunately. We get Emirates 777-300ERs doing cargo flights. Those are all back to passenger service now. Etihad Cargo came once. Ethiopian Cargo came a couple of times, and then there might be a few more that I'm missing. We got National a lot during the pandemic. It's been really surprising that we don't get National as much anymore. I thought they'd stick around for more regular services, but since the pandemic ended pretty much, National hasn't been back in Rockford as often, but they do come every now and then. It just hasn't been super frequent. So this National 747, I'm just going to say, came in from Fairfield, Travis Air Force Base in California, and it's going to head off to Miami in about 2 hours or something like that. And then moving over here, we have the Atlas Air 747-400. Atlas Air, of course, regular visitor to Rockford. This model is the interactive series by geminijets. I've never actually showed it in the interactive mode with all the doors open on this channel before, so this is pretty cool to get to showcase it like this. So we have all the cargo coming in, as you can see, or coming off, I should say, right there. So this aircraft has just come in from Anchorage as Flight 518. That's a weekly flight, which actually originates in Seoul, and then it goes to Shanghai, and then it goes to Anchorage before coming into Rockford. So had quite a long journey there. It's getting all the cargo off, and soon it's going to be making a flight out to Dover. I believe it's Dover Air Force Base in Delaware as Flight 9296, and that'll continue onwards to Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. Speaking of Germany, over here we have the Qatar Airways Cargo 777 freighter just pulled into the gate from Munich, Germany as Flight 8030, and of course that flight originated in Doha. Qatar Cargo flies to Rockford once a week on Mondays, and so that's why this video is coming out on Monday, because that's when Qatar Cargo flies into Rockford. So I'm really happy that they've maintained the service even coming out of the pandemic. They've continued their regular weekly flight into Rockford. It's really, really cool to see Qatar Cargo flying here. I unfortunately haven't been able to catch them during the summer. I was never actually able to catch them because they came in pretty late. Their flight arrives around 7:45, 8 p.m. and I would get off of work at the airport at I think 3 p.m. So at that point I didn't feel like coming back to the airport to see this. So I unfortunately never got to see it during the summer. But I did catch Qatar Cargo back in 2021. They had done a flight, I believe it was coming from Ostend in Belgium, so I had caught them that time. And back then, South Cargo wasn't even open. That was 2021, so over 2 years ago. So they'd actually park right there by the terminal. If you've seen some of my older videos from Rockford, before South Cargo opened, they would park a lot of the cargo flights that weren't UPS or Prime Air or whatever. They'd park them right here up by the terminal at an angle. So Korean Air, they'd park there, Emirates would park there, and that Qatar flight that I caught back in 2021, they parked there as well. And then Wamos would actually park right here, not at the gate, but they'd park at like an angle, their A330. So, yeah, and then some flights would park more that way, be a little area on the ramp, they just park up right there. All before South Cargo opened up, and now that it's open, of course, you don't have planes parking back there now. So yeah, that was South Cargo. Not much to showcase here. Other regular flights into Rockford that use this terminal, like I said, Air Atlanta Icelandic Magma, they fly once or twice a week from Frankfurt Hahn Airport, I think it is. And then there's also Maersk Air Cargo. They fly almost daily from Anchorage, and that flight continues to, I believe, Shanghai or Hangzhou, somewhere in China, either China or Seoul, I can't remember, but it originates in Asia, stops in Anchorage, comes back to Rockford, and then does the opposite routing. So they fly 767s. They have 2 or 3 that frequent the airport. They kind of alternate. but they fly almost every day into Rockford from Asia via Seoul. So it's pretty cool to see Maersk Air Cargo. They started flying here earlier in 2023 or late 2022. So it was really cool to see them basically every day that I was working at the airport. Whenever I got the chance to, step out of my office and see them, I'd probably drive out towards this side, get some pictures of the Maersk Air Cargo. They usually park them right around here. So it was really cool. It was really fun getting to come out to South Cargo, drive around, see all the stuff that was there. I wish Qatar came in during the daylight so I could see them, get some pictures of them, but whenever a 747 would come in from Atlas Air or the 767s were here, it was, and the Magma 747s as well, they would come in once a week. Yeah, really, really fun times that I would get to see them airside like that. So yeah, that was South Cargo. Now let's move on to the last bit of the update. Okay, so as of recent, Rockford has been receiving a lot of United 737 MAX delivery flights. So instead of going into a United hub like, O'Hare or Houston or Newark, for example, a lot of the times they'll fly the aircraft straight from the factory from Boeing Field straight into Rockford. So I was able to see a bunch of 737 MAX 8 delivery flights this past summer, along with occasional 737 MAX 9s. But it was mostly 737 MAX 8s that would come into Rockford on their delivery flights. So Rockford is also a United maintenance facility for their 737, 800, 900, 700 fleet, and I believe at this point the MAX fleet as well. So there would pretty much always be a couple of United 737s sitting in the hangar, which is really, really cool to see. So this aircraft, we'll just say, came in straight from the factory, Boeing Field, is it Payne Field? Yeah, BFI, as flight 3837. So that's just sitting out here. Technically, it would be sitting right outside the hangar before they bring it in to the hangar for like checks and stuff. Those hangars will be a bit more this way, but of course didn't have space for them. So yeah, at once I've seen 3 737s in the hangar at once, a couple of 700s, 800s, 900s. They'd be like one here, one parked this way, another one parked this way. I think it was 3, it might have been 4, but they have 2 hangars as well. So they have one here, one here. So there'd be a couple 7.3s in this hangar, and then another 2 or 3 in the other hangar. So really, really cool. United's really using Rockford to their advantage, the AAR hangars here at the airport. So I thought it'd be really fun to get this 737 MAX in. Even this particular one, 27251, that's been in service for quite a while, but I think just a couple of days ago they got a 737 MAX delivery flight, and then they usually, once the plane gets delivered, it'll sit in Rockford for about a week or 2 and then get ferried off to a United hub. Usually they go to O'Hare, obviously, because it's like a 20-minute flight, but other cases they might go to Houston or Dulles, for example. At least for the 737 like 800s or the NGs, the 700s, 800s, 900s that come in for maintenance in Rockford, those obviously come in from other hubs because they're not getting delivered from the factory, they're in service. So those are usually coming from all over, like Newark, Dulles, O'Hare, Houston, Denver, and then they'll go back to those hubs as well. But as for the MAXs, usually after they come in from Boeing Payne Field on their delivery flight, they'll sit here for about a week or 2 and then go on their after getting accepted, they'll go to Chicago or Houston. Those are the main 2, and then they'll enter revenue service from those 2 hubs. So that was pretty cool to feature in this update. I got to see that quite often. There are at least 1 or 2 delivery flights a week during the peak of my internship that I would see coming in. So it was really cool to see them for sure. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that for now. Let's go ahead and finally conclude this video. Alright, so that brings an end to this Rockford Airport update. Hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. Like I said, Rockford has changed quite a bit since the last update I did for this airport back in 2022. I hope this video was a lot more interesting. I hope it was fun. Hope you learned something new. And yeah, let me know what you thought of the airport again. Like I said in my previous update for Doha, I'm planning to do a bunch of random airport updates this winter break. I mentioned St. Louis, Guatemala City, and O'Hare Terminal 3 Retro, in addition to O'Hare Terminal 5, the usual monthly update that's going to be coming soon as well. But until then, stay tuned. Got a lot of great stuff planned, and I hope I can continue making these videos regularly. It's been a lot of fun. Once I finish this video, I will, of course, clean all this up and then get set up for the next airport update. I'm planning that to be Guatemala City. So that'll be really fun to do as well for the first time on this channel. Otherwise, thank you all very much. I apologize if I sound out of it. I'm pretty tired right now. Ironically enough, it's about 10 p.m. at night, so that's pretty weird that I'm tired this early on. But you know what? It is what it is. But I hope you enjoyed, everybody. I'm going to leave you all here. Thanks again for watching. Take care, and see you next time. Goodbye.